Welcome back, my legends. Damn, I can feel my heart pounding really hard right now. Anyways, I'm gonna be okay. Alright, give me a second. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Octane. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, oh no, Kevin's gonna trash on Octane again. Now listen, I had time to reflect and read your comments on my last video about what I think about Octane. I have said that Octane is a manipulating scumbag who's using Lifeline's feelings to get what he wants. And I still believe that, but here's the thing. I come to understand that Octane does have a problem, and it's a problem that does affect a lot of people in the world, and that is drug addiction. Also, a lot of people wanted to point out that maybe Octane's dad didn't really care so much about him. Now, Tom has hinted towards this on Chris's interview, where he says that Octane's parents don't really care about him.
His parents are pretty non-existent. His dad's been remarried, I forget how many times, 5 times, 6 times, something like that.
Okay.
And they barely pay attention to him. He's all by himself in this big mansion that he's turned into like a skate park. And,
okay.
Yeah.
And then he kind of acknowledges that, yeah, Octane may have a drug problem.
Are not crypto, but Sherlock and Octane are like drug addicts, both of them.
Drug addicts, yeah.
Heavy dependency on chemicals and extremely manic. So yeah, just this dervish of energy. So there you go, folks. There's the
Now, it's not confirmed, but the writers are kind of hinting towards that fact that, yeah, Octane may have a drug addiction because the thing that he uses to run fast is called a Stim. And not many people know about the backstory about the Stim. Now, here's the thing. The Stim in Titanfall 2 has been restricted to simulacrums because in Titanfall 1, we learned that grunts, and thank you for Spear for helping me find this voice line. These IMC grunts explained to us that they took a drop of Stim on their coffee and they could not sleep for weeks.
This is a strike mission. Target all enemy pilots and take them out.
Stim, I heard it boosts your reflexes way beyond normal. Yeah, one time I put 2 drops of Stim in my coffee, couldn't sleep for a week.
In fact, in Titanfall 2, it's kind of said that the majority of people that use Stim are simulacras, which makes sense because Stim has a lot of bad side effects on people, even regular pilots, and it's said to be addictive. And one theory that people have been saying is that Kane, one of the original Apex Predators, might have been one of those people that was addicted to Stim. Now, some people have argued that no, he smuggles narcotics and he's addicted to those things. But the only thing that we know that's close to a drug is the Stim. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if that was one of the things that he was addicted to. So in Titanfall 2, we get some burn cards that gives us a little bit of information about lore, believe it or not. So right here, we have something called a smuggle stimulant. Now, right here at the bottom, it says here rapid heartbeat ? And shallow breath. And then at the bottom, it says sounds like you're all set. So from my understanding, when you take a Stim, it makes your heartbeat go faster and it makes you breathe through your mouth. So the effects are very instant when you're using a Stim, which makes sense because we see this with Octane. When he takes his Stim, he starts running really fast and we can hear his heartbeat if you listen closely enough. So just like any drug, the effects are temporary, but the side effects are long lasting. So this thing is something very serious. I finally come to understand that. Now, some of you are going to say, okay, but how in the world can Octane use it? Well, these things on Octane's legs, those are actual filters that help clean his blood. But here's the thing, I still think he gets those side effects. In fact, the fact that he uses a lot of this Stim, right, it tells me is that he's been using it for a long time. So he has built some kind of tolerance towards this drug where he needs to put more and more. Now, how is he getting these Stim? Now, Tom confirmed some of my suspicions. He admits that his dad owns Silva Pharmaceuticals. We already know that. But here's where it gets interesting. Which produce it. Whoa. This is very important because this clarifies a lot of things and makes a lot of connections. I'll explain later on. But somebody else said is that, okay, in that case, how come his dad doesn't use him as a marketing scheme to promote Silva produce Stims or something? And then Tom Casillo said that, oh no, Octane takes them. His dad doesn't care enough to give them to him. Now this tells us a lot about Octane's dad. It finally tells us is that he really doesn't care about Octane. Even worse is that he might not even know his son is taking this dangerous drug, or even worse, he might know, but he doesn't care. Now we know as a kid, Octane was very spoiled.
He's a little spoiled. You know, he's always had whatever he wants in life, and he's always had everything. Like, he's never had to work for anything in his life, and he's never had to like earn anything.
He always got what he wanted because that way his parents didn't have to deal with him. They can just ignore him. So I can see a situation where Octane does these crazy stunts to maybe get the attention of his parents because he wants them to, acknowledge him because he's been ignored for so long. Even if they don't, I still believe that this is where Lifeline comes into play. I think that Octane does these dangerous stunts too because he knows that he's going to have a friend that always has his back, and that's Just Shay, Lifeline. So I like to imagine that Lifeline has always been there for Octane when he does his dangerous stunts, and obviously got hurt because Octane's not a real person for safety. So for Octane and Lifeline not to get in trouble, I like to imagine that she learned how to do medicine, and this will come in handy when she grows up later. But for now, she only did medicine to make sure Octane was okay. So how did Lifeline and Octane meet? Well, now that we know that Octane's dad had a connection with the IMC, so in a way he profited from war. You know who else profited from war? Lifeline's dad. He was a war profiteer. And my guess is that he sold weapons, or he got weapons to be sold to clients. So the way I will like to imagine is that he sold weapons to both sides. Anybody who wanted weapons, he will get in contact with them and then he'll set them directly or under the table. I like to see him be somebody who sold weapons to both the IMC and the militia, or whatever group that needed weapons. He can see the amount of damage that Lifeline's dad could have done. He could have been somebody that made the violence worse by promoting more violence. The more people need weapons, the higher his profits are gonna go. So one of those connections might have been Octane's dad and how he was profiting from the medicine side of the war. Okay? So here's what I'm trying to get at is that I think in the future when Lifeline learned what her dad and her mom did, because apparently it was both her parents, I think she decided to leave to join the Frontier Corp to amend for her parents' sins. But by doing that, she left Octane alone. And I think this is where his drug addiction came in. I like to think is that Octane being alone, not having Lifeline no more, he kind of lost the purpose of doing these crazy stunts. At first it was to get his parents' attention, which obviously didn't work, and then he probably did it just to entertain Lifeline. But now that she's out of the picture, I think this is where Octane was at his lowest. Now that we understand Octane has a problem, does this mean he is immune from any criticism? No, that's crazy. If you do something scummy, people should be allowed to call you out, although we should understand that, hey, this guy has a problem and he should seek help first, then he can face the consequences of his actions. What Octane did to Lifeline where he manipulated her into getting him new legs is disgusting. He jumped over so many family that were waiting for these legs, and what makes it even worse is that Octane is rich, and even though his dad and him don't get along, I'm pretty sure his dad would have made a deal where he would have said, look, I'll get you new legs, but you have to stop doing these crazy stunts. And of course, Octane being Octane is probably gonna say 100% no, but what he did was even worse because now he involved his best friend into doing something illegal. So if it ever comes out that, hey, Lifeline was the one that helped Octane get his new legs in front of all these other families, she's going to get blackmailed, or even worse, if it ever comes out, she's going to be forced to step down from the Frontier Corp. So Octane doesn't want to be like his dad, but what he did was just as scummy as what his dad does. He manipulated his best friend into getting him new legs. And Lifeline, trying to amend for her parents' sins and try to not be like them, she also broke her code because now people are going to call her a hypocrite, saying that, hey, how are you going to say you're not like your parents when you abuse your power and help your best friend get these legs? And as we know from Ash, Darion, and Eduardo, we don't know who these people are, but clearly there's a connection between Lifeline, Octane, and these two people that we never heard of. But that's a theory for another video. So, Octane, are you ready to admit you have a problem?
Mira, amigo, maybe lay off caffeine, huh? Oh, you didn't even look like you were having fun. Lighten up, amigo.
I see, Octane. Well, Octane, if I'm wrong, do me a favor. What's hidden underneath those bandages on your right arm?
With an unwavering tone, I'll keep on repenting for that night so long